I have a question. What if astrology isn't prediction, but a living map of Hermetic law in motion? And what if polarity isn't conflict, but a spectrum seeking its center? And lately, I've been sitting with something that feels incredibly alive. It came through a meditation around Hermeticism, specifically the idea that when the hexagram opens, it becomes the 12, like the zodiacal wheel. And immediately my mind went into the zodiac, 6 above, 6 below. 12 expressions of one field, not separate forces, but one energy unfolding through polarity. And that's where the Hermetic teachings start making so much sense through astrology. And for those who might be newer to this language, Hermeticism comes from the teachings attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, a fusion of Greek and Egyptian wisdom traditions. At its core, the 7 Hermetic Principles are, first, mentalism, everything is mind. Then correspondence, as above, so below. Next is vibration, nothing rests. Next is polarity, everything has 2 poles. The next is rhythm, everything flows in cycles. Then there's cause and effect, nothing happens randomly. And finally, the energy of gender, creation moves through polarity. Now, if you're an astrologer or even astrology curious, you can kind of already feel it. This is astrology, just in philosophical language. Because astrology gives us something Hermeticism texts do not often give us, a living interface. Because instead of abstract principles, we get timing and cycles and embodiment. The zodiac becomes a wheel of polarity in motion, not fixed meanings, but oscillations, like temperature, like frequency, like water. This is the image that came through so clearly for me. Water. You can have freezing water, boiling water, mist, ice, steam, plasma, different expressions of the same substance. And science actually supports this idea beautifully. Water changes phase based on temperature and pressure, not identity. That's why we use degrees points in astrology. It's the varying degree or temperature of the energy. And the molecule of water remains H2O itself, but the state of water shifts with environment, which is fascinating when you consider astrology, because what if signs are not different things, but different states in one field, different temperatures of consciousness, if you will? And this is where it gets interesting. Modern research is beginning to explore ideas that echo ancient Hermetic thought. Water's ability to store structural information, seen in emerging biophysics and memory of water research, including that of Veda Austin. Cymatics showing how vibration shapes matter. Plasma cosmology suggesting the universe behaves more like an electric fluid than an empty space. The idea that consciousness interacts with fields, not just matter. And even if science hasn't finalized these models yet, the direction is still undeniable. We're moving from solid mechanics into field awareness, Pluto and Aquarius, which is also very Piscean too, if you think about it. Now let's bring this back to polarity. Hermeticism teaches that opposites are identical in nature, but in a different degree. Not enemies, gradients. And astrology shows this everywhere. Aries and Libra, Taurus and Scorpio, Leo and Aquarius, they're not rivals, they're mirrors. Each axis is a spectrum, which is where something clicked for me recently, the midpoint. Because midpoints are something astrologers use technically, but I feel like we're just beginning to understand them energetically. If polarity is a spectrum, the midpoint is not neutral, it's integrative. It's where the tension becomes coherence. So using a simple metaphor, if 0 degrees is freezing water and 29 degrees is boiling water, then everything in between is a gradient of expression. And the midpoint isn't bland, it's balanced. It's where awareness lives. This reframes the zodiac completely. Instead of 12 rigid boxes, we get 12 lenses, 12 phase states of consciousness, each sign expressing a different temperature of the same universal field, which also explains why transits feel like activation rather than invasion. Nothing is being added to you. Something is being shifted within you, like heat changing water into steam. And I'll be honest, this feels especially alive right now because as solar activity increases and we're literally witnessing, there's more light interacting with Earth's magnetic and plasma environment. And whether you interpret that scientifically, spiritually, or symbolically, light reveals information. It always has. Hermeticism calls it illumination. Mystics call it gnosis. Astrology calls it awareness. Different language, same phenomena. And what I keep feeling is maybe these teachings were never really truly lost. Maybe they were encoded in myth, in symbols, in the zodiac. And as light increases, both literally and metaphorically, these codes activate from within us, not as belief systems, as deep recognition held in our DNA. It's like remembering a language you somehow already knew. So when I look at astrology now, I don't see prediction. I see hermetic law breathing, polarity moving, rhythm cycling, vibration shifting. The zodiac becomes less like a chart and more like a prism, one light refracted into 12 expressions. And maybe the real invitation here is simple: not to master astrology and not to memorize hermetic principles, but to feel the spectrum, to notice where you are on it, to honor the polarity without fearing it. Because balance isn't about eliminating extremes. It's about learning how to find the center that can hold them both. And maybe that center, that's where awareness becomes wisdom. If this perspective resonated with you, you're always welcome to explore more with me. Whether it's chart sessions, transmissions, or just walking this path together, I'm grateful you're here. We got this, Soul Fam. So much love.